told you I could never let you go. I am not so sure you believe me, but if I mean to show you, I will never let you go. No, 'cause you don't see the logic of things. It's quite a lonely world that we're living in. Oh baby, you are something special, I'm sure. Everything makes total sense when you're next to me.
What's up, everyone? Happy Saturday. Paul, you made it.
I am thrilled to be here.
Thank
you
amazing.
So much for the invitation.
Yeah. Happy. The bus fit in the driveway. You guys made it safe and sound. And
you know, I wanted to tell you that you're always saying living the dream, and I just wanted to let you know that I've had this really weird dream that my wife and I sold our house, bought a new motorhome, went on the road, and ended up camping in Adam Saxton's front yard and joined the Power BI live stream. I don't know when I'm going to wake up from this dream, but it's pretty awesome.
Yes, it is amazing. So, real quick, I gotta get one thing. One thing I'm gonna mention to you, Paul. I know you're tending to move your head to look at me physically in the room. Look at the camera. Look at the camera, man.
Okay. Thanks, Adam. Try not to do that.
Oh, man. No, it's good to have you, buddy. So for those of you that are not, someone's saying Paul's audio is not good. Not good. What is way? Patrick? It sounds all right to you?
It's a little loud.
It's a little loud again.
Quieter.
Yeah, I got it.
Check 1 2.
How's that?
We did all this.
So Marco says it's not good.
There's like some type of echo.
Or something. Because we've got both microphones going in, it's a little hard to separate it. Paul is softer than others.
It'll work. Let's go. It'll work.
Sounds like his mic is 6 feet away. I don't know what else to do with that. There's not much else I can do with that. Say something, Paul.
Something. Test 1 2 3.
Yeah, it does sound like it's a little far
now
away. I don't know.
Now he's a little low now.
I just bumped it up. I don't know.
I don't know what to tell you. Let's roll.
We'll go with it.
All right, cool. Let me try one more thing. Sorry. Let me try one more thing here.
Somebody says that they can actually hear me better now.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it sounds better now. Leave it alone. Leave it alone.
Leave it alone.
Yeah.
We're good. Okay. All right. So for those of you that are not familiar with Paul Turley has been around in the BI space for I don't know how long. We go way back into like the Kerberos days, and remember, it's like Kerberos. It just works. Exactly.
No,
I called customer support, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago. Ended up talking to you, Adam, and it was a Kerberos problem with reporting services and SharePoint and SQL Server, and you fixed it. Kerberos did work.
Did.
Kerberos did work.
I did.
Yeah.
No,
All right.
Kerberos doesn't work.
Most of the time.
All right, so if you're not familiar, Paul is doing his whole data bus, and it's data on the road. So go check out his blog. He's doing videos as well out on his YouTube channel. I've got links down in the description below as well if you want to go check it out. Just having conversations with a bunch of different folks across the country in the U.S. So I know folks like in Europe and other parts of the world are disappointed, but I heard the data bus does not float.
The data bus does not float.
Okay. All right. So awesome. All right. If you are new to Guy in a Cube, if this is your first time on the live stream or just Guy in a Cube in general, put hashtag new in the chat. We love seeing all the new faces. It always amazes me. I've already seen a couple folks saying it's their first time, so this is great. I always love seeing that. Also, real quick, I want to give a shout out to the members of Guy in a Cube. You help us do what we do here on Guy in a Cube, and so we greatly appreciate that. If you see folks with the green name or the Guy in a Cube logo next to them, those are members of Guy in a Cube, and you can, just thank you everyone for doing that. You can find out more information with the link on the screen or hitting the join button down below. No expectations or commitments required. Just you can go learn more about it. And as I said before, we greatly appreciate that. So thank you.
Hey, Paul, there's people out there. They heart Paul. I heart Paul.
I see
Paul.
that. And thank you so much.
Right.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, that was amazing. That was amazing. Wow. Lots of love, Paul.
Yeah,
Lots of love.
Yeah, Paul.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, we're all part of the community.
Yes.
That's what makes this great.
Yes. All right. So some news here. We got Adoram is new. Sarab's new. Yaswanth is new. Pranay is new. Some of these names I'm struggling with a little bit. I apologize. Asman's new. Christian, you're not new. Anurag loves you, Paul. MD Munir is new. What else we got? I want to say Eugene is new. First time. Welcome. Tom is new. Let's see what else we got. Jorge's new. Awesome. Great to see everyone. Again, just Jamie's new as well. Welcome everyone. All right, so members, hold off on your questions. Chatmaster C will give you the cue at the bottom of the hour. I was told to, like, some people may not understand the term bottom of the hour, so it's at the halfway mark, right? Chatmaster C will give you the heads up, and you'll be able to put in your questions there. She'll clear the queue, and we'll be good to go there.
Some people may not understand.
Some people may not understand. Like my children do not understand because they only know digital clocks, even though we've tried to teach them analog clocks, and they don't understand what that means. So anyway. All right. So questions, get your questions in, put Q: in front of it, and we will get to as many as we can. Chatmaster C is standing by to get them queued up. Only post it one time. Please do not spam the chat. One time is all you need, and we will get it in the queue. And no need to spam. We do have a 3 strikes rule here on Guy in a Cube. So if you do spam, we will put you in a timeout. Chatmaster C is ready to do that. All of our moderators, who are folks with the blue name or the wrench in front of them, they also have the ability to put someone in a timeout. Paul, you now have the power to put Patrick in a timeout.
Oh, cool.
So use it wisely. Use it wisely.
What comes around goes around, though.
Yeah.
I'll never put you in I never put anybody in timeout.
No, Patrick doesn't do any of that stuff. So, all right, maybe Alex will. I don't know.
I learned something about Chatmaster C this morning. So she
see, look at the camera. Look at the camera, Paul.
You know what? I'm sorry. This is going to be hard for me to do. as Adam and I were setting up, he had a smirk on his face, and I knew that something was going on, but I didn't know what it was. And I came around the corner, and Crystal was waiting for me wearing a Jason mask with a sword.
Yeah.
Anyway,
She likes her Halloween.
I'm awake now.
She loves Halloween. So, all right, yeah, absolutely. Get your questions in the queue. We've only got a couple in there, so I'm sure more will come as we go. All right, let's start off. Jason Horner's in the chat today.
Hey, Jason.
Jason,
Oh, yeah.
long-standing friend. Paginated report question. This is the right man. All right. Best workarounds for drill through or sub reports. Also, is it possible to set up a Power BI report to drill through into a paginated report or vice versa? Oh, I did a video on that.
Yeah. And I think workaround is the right phrase here, because we don't have a built-in capability, but we do have the new paginated report visual that allows you to pass parameters from a Power BI interactive report into a paginated report. Outside of that, though, it's all about URL parameters. And I do have a recipe for this on my blog. And Patrick, I know that you've done a video on this as well. So yes, it's absolutely possible, and it's done by formulating the URL with the right parameters, and then creating a link in Power BI that will let you do that drill through.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can definitely do that.
URLs for the win.
Adam, should we wear costumes next week?
Oh, I planned on it. Well,
I don't have any costumes.
I was gonna say I got my stormtrooper mask.
You could wear Star Wars attire.
Yeah, well, see, Patrick doesn't do that for me. Paul, you do that for me,
Yeah,
because
and
he's
this
wearing a
is
Star Wars shirt
this is my
today in
Star
honor
Wars
of being in the
jungle
room.
shirt.
Yes.
Hey, may the force be with you.
It
May
is,
the
yeah.
force be with
Patrick's done it.
Oh, look at you.
Yeah, I
All
noticed
right,
that.
we're good.
I noticed
We're all
that.
wearing Star Wars shirts. We're good.
May the force be with you.
I do. Yes.
I love you guys.
All right, we'll figure out next Saturday. We'll figure out next Saturday. It's right by Halloween. So, Jason, hopefully that helped you with your question. I hope it did. All right, Jason Campbell. So 2 Jasons right in a row. We're migrating SSRS jobs to Report Builder. I don't know what that means. And can't find a way to create HTML subscriptions. Are we overlooking it? Ooh.
Yeah. They're going from
Paul.
on-prem to the cloud.
That's not what it says, though.
Yeah, it says report builder.
I'm making it something.
Yeah, I think you're
Yeah,
right.
but
Okay,
So,
you're making the
on-premises-
assumption that they're going to
yeah.
cloud.
Yeah.
All right. Paul, what are your thoughts?
So if the question is, we're moving from SQL Server reporting services to paginated reports in Power BI, I'm not aware of lack of support for MHTML. It's kind of an old standard.
You know,
so that, is that
Paul,
supported,
I was just looking on the subscriptions page, and it says that it's only PDF, PowerPoint, Excel, Word document, CSV, and XML. I don't see MHTML on the subscription option.
That's not surprising. MHTML, I would classify as a legacy format, and it's not surprising that we don't have support for that anymore, which means that I don't have an answer. Don't have a workaround. Use a different format.
Oh,
Yep.
wait, Alex says it is listed. Alex says it is.
I think you've stumped us.
Oh, but Alex, that's for export. I'm talking about for a subscription, though, Alex. So
Yeah.
if you, it's almost for export, yes, it's absolutely there. But when I look at the subscribe page, subscribe yourself and others to paginated reports. There is a section for options to export, and MHTML is not there.
All right. Yep. So, sorry. I went to your desktop, Patrick, because you had it up.
Oh yeah, see, yeah, there you go. Look right here, right here. So I
Oh
was
my
in
gosh,
there.
really? Really? I just went off
Well,
of
I
you
mean-
right when you said that. Oh my gosh. There
Right
you
here,
go.
look, unlike subscriptions, the following attachments are supported. No HTML, right? And this
Yeah.
is for subscriptions. But then if you go over to the link that Alex sent, which it means right, it's MHTML is supported for in the
For
export.
export.
I know it's there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
But not
It
for-
is.
We believe you.
He's right
We
about
believe
it.
you. We believe you.
Yeah.
Ideas.powerbi.com.
Ideas.powerbi.com.
Yeah. Well, and I think that Chris Finland has made it pretty clear that the, as paginated reports were added to the Power BI service, they've really had to prioritize that because a lot of re-engineering was required.
Right.
And so, we don't have every single capability for paginated reports that we have, in reporting services today. And that's a bit of a journey, and they have to prioritize the work. So if that's important, vote it up. I think it's questionable whether or not HTML or MHTML is important for everybody.
Yep. Yep.
Let us know if it is.
All right. Here we go. Callum. Hi there. Hello. Love your content. I'm a Power BI noob. I need to create a card visual showing number of sales week to date. I've looked online for the measure to use, but only seems to work in a table visual. So if you're doing it here's one thing to, I have a thought here. If you're saying it's only working in a table visual, that's because when it's listed in a table, it's also being filtered by the other parts of the table, right? So that's contributing, the table row is contributing to that slice of the measure. And so if you're not seeing that same value, the measure is only going to be, so if you just do a sum of sales for a given time period, that should show up in the card. It should have a value. It may not match on the row in the table because the table is being further filtered by the context. So that's my thought. But you should have a value in the card. And so then it's a question of how do you write a standalone measure that accounts for that time period?
So I'm going to say this. I watched a very, very insightful video by Alberto Ferrari about DAX is hard, something like that. Everyone that writes DAX should go watch that video. I don't know the exact title. And towards the end of that video, he said something that just blew my mind. And he's like, you can go online and find a pattern and put it into your PBIX file. And it works. But it's for a specific scenario. And unless you understand the basics of how DAX works, you probably can't adjust it to work in your scenario. And I think that's what's the case here. You found it and it works. And you have this filter context in the table right now. And like Adam says, it's working. But when you pop it out to the card, you see some extreme number. And you got to go override it with a slice or something to get that exact value that you want. And I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, somebody just posted
Alex
the
did.
link.
Yeah, that's our link master.
Alex.
I do remember the quote from Alberto, and I remember sitting.
Look at the camera, Paul. Look at the camera.
I'm not going to get this right. I used to work in TV, and I can't handle this. I was sitting in the audience at I believe it was at Pass Summit several years ago when Alberto said this, and I remember the quote was, he said, DAX is not always easy, but DAX. Wait, I screwed it up.
Yeah, you messed it up.
Yeah, I did. No,
it's the reverse.
DAX is simple, but it's not always easy. That's what he said.
I like the accent though. That was nice.
I missed that too. But I think the bottom line here is that you should be able to use practically any visual with any measure, and it should work and give you the same result. But it's about filter context. And so the table visual, as Adam, you suggested, if you've got something on rows, maybe it's a date. And if you've got that on rows, that means every row is being filtered by that date value. And so if you create a single value card and you filter that card using the same filter, using the same field, then you should get the same result.
Right. And by the way, Marco gave you the DAX in the chat.
So, I know.
Of course he did.
Marco just.
He did.
There you go.
Marco can solve any problem with DAX.
There you go. Look at that. There's your DAX.
There you go.
It's in the chat. Copy and paste.
But make sure you understand what that DAX is doing. I'm just saying. Make sure you understand what it's doing.
You just saying?
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I'm looking at it right now. It's a variable inside of a calculate, right? It's a variable inside of a calculate.
Yeah, subvariable.
Nice, right?
Yeah,
it's very elegant. But
I
but
exposed
understand
I exposed
that, right?
Patrick to that a week or two ago, and he's like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you can do that." Like, yes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know because I saw
Always-
Marco and Alberto do it a while back.
Will Thompson makes a very good point. Yeah, you just don't copy and paste it. I mean, you really have to understand the
Yeah.
mechanics of what a calculation is doing.
Yes, please try to
Oh,
understand.
but this is not DAX. Marco, this is not DAX because it's not formatted.
There's only so much you can do with YouTube chat.
Dax doesn't work in YouTube.
I kid, Marco, I kid.
Oh. Oh wow. You broke the chat, Patrick. Douglas, thank you for becoming a member. Very much appreciated. Oh my lord. Marco has no response to that. So
Oh, he's got a response.
I'm sure he's working on a response. He's working on a
Always
response.
has a response.
Chris, thank you for the super chat.
He's always got a response. He's always got a response.
All right, here we go. Question from Amon. He was going to use dax.do,
okay.
but yeah, okay.
Gotcha.
All good.
See, I told you. He's always got a response. He's always got a response.
All right, Amon has a question here. Is it ever okay to use a bidirectional relationship? Oh boy. Can it be justified solely based on the performance advantages over a virtual relationship, or are there model attributes to watch out for, or is it never okay? So I'm going to harness my inner Marco, and Marco, I hope I get this correct. If you're going to use a bidirectional relationship, so I'm not going to say it's never okay to use it, right? There are situations where it calls for it, but you need to understand what bidirectional relationships are going to do. And if you don't understand it, don't use it. What is that noise, Patrick?
I'll be right back.
Okay. I just muted Patrick. So don't just use it if you don't understand it. So just leave it alone. Understand that it could produce oversampling. It could produce, he's back. It could produce incorrect results. It could cause performance problems as well. So be very careful with bidirectional relationships. There was one time where Patrick and I were working on something. It had to do with row level security, using dynamic row level security. And we were looking at this, and we tried it multiple ways. We were actively trying to avoid using a bidirectional relationship, but it caused us to make like duplicates of this. And we're like, So we emailed Marco, and we're just like, Marco, we're like, I know we're trying not to use a bidirectional relationship, but we can't think of a better way to do this than the bidirectional relationship. Marco responded. He's like, no, use a bidirectional relationship there. So because it was the outermost table, and it was specifically for the RLS, the dynamic row level security. So it was like that was the right call in that case. So so it's not a never, but you need to understand it.
My thought on this is that, I mean, bidirectional relationships are like any trade-off choice in life. I mean, it's there for a reason, and if you can solve a business problem by using a bidirectional filter I'll readily admit that I do in most of my models. If I have many-to-many relationships or some kind of complex logic, I will typically have at least one bidirectional filter in relationships. But what often happens is you go build this model on a sample set of data, and you test it with 1,000 rows in a fact table, and then you ship it to production, and then when you go hydrate the thing with 5 years worth of data, it doesn't perform well. So you need to test it with production-like data before you commit to it.
Yeah. So
Point.
Miss Belinda, I remember that was a past presentation, and Marco got very animated on stage, and there is a video recording of it. So, well, not that quote. He was just passionate about the never.
And it wasn't Marco who said, "Well, I heard Alberto."
There was a whole thing anyway. Yeah, there was a whole thing.
Bidirectional filter. You will go to.
But Marco posted, and that's what I was going to say. He's got an article that talks about bidirectional relationship. He put a link in the chat, so you should go check that out.
Yeah, go check it out.
Amon. I think it's
Amon. I'm on.
I'm on.
Think-
Come on. AMON. I'm on.
All right. Excellent. Good discussion. So, and actually, like Patrick and I, we've got a session that we do where I actually show like just using a single table. Like if I've got items coming off of that single table, I'm not referencing any other table, not referencing a relationship, but just even having that bidirectional relationship enabled, it introduced a performance overhead. So be aware of it.
In the demo. Yeah.
And the other thing, just to add to that as well, is the majority of times that I see people using bidirectional relationships is they're doing it to work around the fact that they have a bad model. And they're trying to correct something that was just a mistake from a modeling perspective. And so the real answer is to go fix the model so you can avoid the bidirectional relationship. It's not every case, but that we see that a lot. Okay.
A quick comment. A scenario where I see, I know I can't.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
A scenario where I see bidirectional filters being overused is that someone who's unfamiliar with Power BI and kind of the natural behavior of Power BI might say, okay, when we go filter region, we want to see date filtered, or we want to see product category filtered, which means that we want the filtering to flow through the fact table and to filter another dimension table. And yeah, that might seem like a good idea, but you're going to get horrible performance.
Well, we see that too, where they have like a bunch of slicers and they want that cascading slicer approach.
Right.
And they're like, that's the whole reason they did bidirectional relationships. I'm like, don't do that.
Yeah.
Use a visual level filter. There you go.
I got a video on that.
Yes.
I got a beautiful video that talks about it.
All right. I think we beat that one to death. Let's move on to another one. Gal C. In Power Automate, there is a way. So it's data flow refresh complete trigger. Is there a parallel trigger for data sets? So like when a data set is done refreshing, will that trigger a Power Automate? I don't believe there is.
I have no idea.
So I know you can trigger a refresh from Power Automate, but I don't think you can get like an event signal that it's completed and to trigger that. So Dan's saying no also. I don't think that's there. Now, there are ways you could do it. So there's not a native trigger there, but if you were able to call the REST API on the schedule, so on the refresh history, and then you could key off of whether it is completed and then trigger something else. Like you could do that, but it's not native. So... Good question. All right. Harsh has a question here. Is there a way to check the progress of dataset publishing? Ooh, publishing. So I'm assuming that's like different from refresh. Yeah.
I think when he's deploying, like when he's publishing up the dataset.
Yeah, I don't. There's no way to get the status of that. So I'm curious what, like, I'm assuming you're probably publishing a large data set and you're curious about like, when's it going to be done? And there's no way to do that.
This may be similar to the earlier question about looking for an event. And I think the bottom line here is that the Power BI service nor the Vertipaq engine are an event-driven model. It's not like some programming components where, an event fires that you can respond to that. It's just not the way that Power BI is wired.
Yep. Okay.
Somebody got put in timeout.
Yep.
All right. Let's go.
Don't spam. Don't spam.
I saw that coming though.
Oh, so you just didn't even do it? You let Chatmaster see. Yeah.
Yeah, she's going to do it.
All right.
I know she's going to take care of it.
All right, here we go. When do you put a table in dual mode? Ooh.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts, Paul?
All right.
Well, in a composite model, that's what it's all about. I no, go ahead, Patrick. I think you probably have a...
No, go ahead. Go ahead. You're the guest. You first.
I'm the guest. Yeah, so you're going to give me the hard question.
No, so, all right. So if you're doing a composite model and you have in that table and you have a direct query table, and you want to make sure that when they miss maybe you have an ag, or when they're combining that direct query table with another table, like a dimension, for example. So your fact table is direct query to your dimension. If you put it in import mode, then Power BI's got to materialize all the DAX, put it into that query and send it down to whatever the source is. But if you put it in dual mode, that table can behave, it can act in both ways. It could be direct query or import. So now it can elegantly create a very nice dynamic T-SQL statement, because we know dynamic T-SQL is the best, and send that query back off to the source. So if you're using a composite model and it's trying to go in both directions.
So Paul said not even sure what that means. I'm going to assume that it's related to this question. And so what we're talking about is, for a given table in your model, you can define the storage mode of the table as either import, direct query, or dual. So that's what we're talking about. Yes. Well, I've got it on the screen already.
Oh, okay.
Not even looking. And so on those you can set that. So if it's a direct query table, then you can switch it to dual, to where it's both imported and referenced from a direct query perspective if you're doing composite model type activity. If it's already import, you cannot switch it to dual. So it's only if it starts as direct query. So
yeah, can't go back.
All right.
And dual mode meaning that it can behave either way.
Yes.
Both as an import table and as a direct query table.
Correct. Excellent. All right.
Deepak had a great question.
Did you want to skip? All right, let's skip. This is the access one.
Yeah.
All right. I love access.
It's a simple answer.
All right. Here's a question Paul can answer. Can you do query folding? No, I didn't mean it like that. Oh my gosh. No, I didn't mean it like that.
Oh man, Paul. Oh man.
I didn't mean it like that. I'm so sorry. Paul is amazing and full of wealth of information. And we're going to apply it to this question.
Are you ready for the answer?
Do you want Paul to come
ready
back?
for the answer? Do you want to give me a drum roll?
Can we do query folding for Microsoft Access data sources? Go.
No.
All right, there we go.
And the reason you can't, but it's important to understand what query folding is all about. So query folding, by definition, query folding means that your queries are defined in Power Query within Power BI Desktop, publish the model, and then when those queries are executed, query folding means that the M definition of that query gets translated to the native query language of whatever the data source is, and that it's executed at the server. Well, Access doesn't have a server. There is no server-side execution. Access is always running queries in the memory of the client. Therefore, there's no opportunity to do query folding. Now, SQL Server could, or Oracle could, or Teradata, or anything that supports server-side queries, but not Access.
Yes, great. Okay, so members, we are at the halfway mark. Chatmaster C has cleared the queue. Members, please post your questions. I know it goes by fast.
Time flies.
We are cutting over to member-only chat, which means that only members and moderators can participate in the chat. Everyone can keep watching and listening to the answers. Apologies if we didn't get to your question. We never get to all of them, so sorry. Come back next week and we will answer more. So members, absolutely get your questions in.
Post Alex's comment.
Okay, hang on.
Please.
Hang on. We are officially a members only chat. What did Alex say?
All right. Just go ahead. Go ahead and post it.
Is this the PowerPoint thing? Do we have some good PowerPoint presentations? Oh man, yeah. I gave Alex a little. I gave Alex some critical feedback on his slide presentations. They were slow on the animation. I'm just saying. I was skipping
They're good
along.
Slides though, so
They were great slides. I was just waiting. I felt like I aged like 15 years waiting for the slide to finish.
Those are really good slides.
All right, we got a lot of member questions. So one thing to do before we get into the questions in the queue, one of the benefits of being a member of Guy in a Cube is you can pre-submit questions if you're at the visitor or the producer tier. And so we do have some questions that were pre-submitted. So we're going to cut over to those first. So members, get your questions in. All right, here's the first one from Christian. We have a request to build a summary overview filtered by 2 possible dimensions available in all reports. We've got about 30 report data sets, most with unique data sources. How do we create a new data set? So the question is, what do we do here? So we want one big summary report over all of these like 30 different reports. Do we create a new data set containing all the data sources across 30 reports? Or do we create a data set connecting to like a common data flow that's reused across all of them? It's a big question.
It's a hard question.
That's a Chewy. This one's for you. It depends. Paul, what are your thoughts first?
The first thing that kind of caught my attention in that question was the report/data sets, and which suggests that you have 30 separate PBIX files that contain both a data model and reports. And I would say that in an enterprise class scenario like this, that's not a sustainable design pattern. So the first thing that I would do if we could back up the bus and start all over again would be to not create 30 different data sets. So what do we do now that we're already there? A composite model over 30 data sets, probably not a good idea. Even with Gen 2 composite models, I think that things are possible, but probably wouldn't perform well. So I would think about creating a new master data set that contains all or most of the functionality that you need.
Yeah, and Stewie asked a follow-up question there, like, wait, are the 30 reports using a shared data set? And the way we interpret it is no, they're 30 distinct data sets.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
I think really... yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Patrick.
Maybe if you can't get to one, at least not 30 data sets, right? Try to get, shrink it down. And even a summary data set. I think I was talking to Marco Alberto, and because I always say one data set to rule them all. That's not always possible. It's not always possible to just have one data set, but try to minimize, because I guarantee there's a lot of logic spread across those data sets, and you're trying to calculate profit, and it's in 15 data sets, and you'll miss updating the logic in one of those.
Well, and that was his point, though. That was his point too. Is if he created a data set connecting to like data flows, and now we've got all these multiple ones. It's like then he brought up that point too of like now I've got to make sure I update stuff across the board, and that's hard. I'm gonna harness my inner Matthew Roach, and I don't see him in the chat today, but I'm gonna bring Matthew to the conversation. What are the overall goals of these 30 reports and this end-up summary report that you're going to do? And from a summary report, so one thing we brought up too was like, look, can you just do a dashboard and like pin visuals to those items? You can pre-filter that pin, and that'll, there's your summary, and it'll use the existing reports.
If you don't need them all to interact with each other, you could do that.
But the comment was no, we want to be able to slice and dice on it. And I'm like, okay, what's the overall goal of what you're trying to accomplish and the problem that you're trying to answer? And maybe we just need to pause, rethink about everything. And I saw Will.
Yep.
And then Will also, not a dashboard, please. Like, all right, fair enough.
Will owns the composite model feature in Power BI Desktop. So I think he has a good point here. If you brought it down to maybe 5 in a composite model, maybe that would be a good solution.
Yeah. Probably. So Christian just commented. He's like, look, we know the those reports. We're looking at that, but that's going to take some time. So like, there's not a great answer to this.
I have a good answer.
Okay.
It's challenges like this that make it so that we all have jobs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
These are hard problems.
It is a hard problem.
Mm-hmm.
But if he could go across, I don't know what, I'm sure he doesn't need everything from every data set. I'm sure he doesn't need every measure, every KPI, everything. Maybe you inventory those 30 data sets. And I know I'm about to say some people, why is Patrick saying this? Make another data set just for your summary, until you have time to go and do everything that Paul, Adam, and everybody in the chat is saying, Christian. Make a summary data set that's going to answer this problem for right now. It's just a Band-Aid. Don't forget about it. It's just a Band-Aid now. And then once you have time, come back, circle back. I think Paul said back the bus up. The guys who's driving the bus said back the bus up. Back the bus up. And then start. Okay, all right. And then start, reevaluating and thinking about the requirements and do everything that everybody's saying right here. I understand your pain, man.
It's a mess. It's a mess right now. We got to clean it up. I agree. It's going to take time too. It's not going to happen overnight. And so we got to figure out what's the immediate thing that we can do to satisfy the business. And then the big thing is you got to go back though. Like, don't just do it. And then we're like, oh, it's not broke. Don't fix it. No, it is broke. And we got to go fix it. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hopefully that
That's a
helped
good
you,
question,
Christian.
though.
It was a good discussion. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Next one. Mr. James. I know there's a lot of text. I'm going to break this down for you. A report. There was a lot more text. I had to pare this down a little bit. A report has a matrix with as of dates and period over period dates in a hierarchy on the columns. So we got the matrix and a haphazard assortment of 40 plus implicit and explicit measures on the values with the show on rows option enabled. So the measure names are where the row headers would be. And the measure values spread out over the columns. The user now wants an average of all periods column added to the far right side, but I obviously can't add a new measure on the columns with the current arrangement. Help me, Obi-Wan Cube. I added the last part.
I missed the last part of that question though, Adam. What am I missing about why? I mean, you already got 3,000 measures now. Why not add one more? It's not gonna hurt. What am I missing?
Well, so I think because he wants to add an average overall periods column added to the far right side, but because we're also using the show on rows, maybe that's preventing a challenge there. I don't know.
Okay, I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
I like Chris
We talked
Wagner's
about that.
answer.
You like Chris Wagner's answer?
Yeah,
What is
paginated reports.
paginated report?
You can use an expression in paginated reports. I mean, if that's an option,
You can.
that could be another option.
All right, so my response to this also is why? And I think, James, you're on the same page here too. You don't like it. It's what the business is asking you to do. But when we're talking about this, it's how are they even consuming that? Like, we've got all these things. I'm assuming you have to scroll also because it's huge. But like, how do they actually consume and get value out of this visual? And can we go back to the business and figure out what is the actual thing? What's the what's the goal? Can we go back and figure out what's the problem? What's the question you're trying to answer? And then let's create the reports that help answer that question. It's not going to be this matrix, I guarantee it. They're coming from Excel. That's what they want, and that's what they're used to. So let's revisit it and figure out, do a proof of concept and say, look, does this help you explore the data the way you can and make it in a way that's acceptable? Sorry, Patrick, you were.
No, it's two things. Marco said what I said at the beginning. Implicit measures? I don't know about implicit measures. But then Chewy, I love this comment. Chewy's comment, Power BI counseling time, James.
Yeah.
It's a great comment.
Well, it's funny, but it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, categorically, you really have three reporting tools that are part of the platform, right? You have Power BI interactive reports, you have paginated reports, and you have Excel. I mean, without going out and buying another product, we're using. Go ahead.
You have access reports.
You have access reports.
I like to do them in Notepad myself.
Right,
I just tab out things and.
But yeah, I mean, use the right tool to solve the right problem. But I mean, Adam, to your point, if you want 50 columns in a table or a matrix, then Power BI may not be the right choice for that. Yeah. It comes back to solving the business problem.
Yeah. So James,
but
we feel your pain, man. We feel your pain.
Yes.
And this is not necessarily James's fault, right? This is what the business is asking for.
That never happens.
I know. We've got to push back a little bit.
Maybe Excel's the right answer.
Maybe Excel is the right answer for what they want.
As a reporting tool.
Yes.
As a reporting tool. Just connect it live, use Analyze in Excel.
I don't like that, but
column.
If they want these 40, 50 columns, then yes, maybe Excel. That actually came up with some other customer discussion I was having. I was talking to someone else on the team, and they were just like, look, maybe maybe Excel's just the right answer for this, instead of trying to shove it all into a Power BI report that wasn't really meant for this large, massive table. It was actually the same scenario where we had like 40, 50 columns on this matrix, and we're like, why are we even doing this? Like, this is bananas. So, all right. I think we're good on that one. All right, ready for the third one, Patrick?
I guess so.
All right, Tom's got some questions here. So first up, what's with the underscore on your variable names, Patrick? Do you want to answer that one real quick? Because that's quick.
It's easy for me to identify the variables that way.
Yeah.
You know what? And maybe I saw Alberto and Marco do it I don't know. I stole it from someone, but I like it because it helps me easily identify my variables.
Yeah. Yep. So it's just personal preference, personal preference.
There's nothing wrong with it.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. All right. I have two matrix examples. One has blanks, and the other I've applied a filter is not blank. Is this a good way to get rid of other rows? So I think, Patrick, we want to go over to your machine, right? You're going to show us some things?
Yeah.
All right.
So this is what
you are up.
This is what he sent us. All right.
Yep.
This is what he sent us. Who is this, Adam?
Tom
sent us this. He's got two matrices. And so one, we made this measure that will filter out if the value is greater than, something you supply, like a what if. And so what he's saying is, if you look in this measure, take C, for example, with red, you see how the blank is there. But then red doesn't exist over here because he used a visual level filter, right? And so I say, don't use that visual level filter because there's actually sales data here. Right? There's actually sales data, and now I don't see this. But what I think Tom wants to do, and I'm making an assumption, I tend to do that, is that if this is blank, also blank this out. I don't want to see that row at all. I think that's what he's trying to do. I don't care about this. If this is blank, that should be blank. And so what I did was I created a calculation group. This is what I was trying to tell you.
I know. You were getting overexcited, and then people were telling me there was no music, and I'm like, crap, Patrick, I got to focus. He's calling me on my cell phone during the countdown, and I'm like, come on, man.
So I created a calculation group, and basically what happens in the calculation group is if I use the current measure, it shows everything. So you can see red right here, right? But if I say use my filtered measure, it's going to get rid of that row completely. Because all I did was, check that out. And so all I did was apply a little logic here. And so did you see how I did the scrolly thing without zoom it?
I did.
Look at that, right? And so I grabbed the, whatever that threshold you're setting. And then I have my display measure. And I say, hey, if it's less than, if I don't meet it, make it blank. Otherwise, display that measure. And so in my calculation group, I have a current measure, which is just going to show the selected measure. And then I have my filtered measure, which is going to apply the logic. And now he can just use this calculation group. He can put it as a page level filter. I don't know what you want to do with it. But now if you just want to see the filters, if you want to see the current measure, it shows everything. So it just works.
Nice.
Did that in like a minute. Just
beautiful.
And beautiful variable names proceeded with the underscore.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Excellent. Holy cow, there's a lot of questions in the queue. All right, we're going to the queue now. Those were the pre-submitted questions. Thanks, everyone, for submitting those. Those were great. I like the discussion. All right, so Aladdin has got a question here. Is there anything to be aware of before upgrading a production premium capacity from Gen 1 to Gen 2? Ooh. And I'm assuming when this got asked, Chris Wagner got all over this. He's been on the Gen 2 train. So I don't know what Chris Wagner added to the chat, but are there things to be aware of?
Life will get better.
Yeah. So
I don't think there are any big trade-offs.
In general, I will say it should perform either how it was in Gen 1 or it should perform better in Gen 2. So it should either be equal to or better in Gen 2. There are some real benefits for the Gen 2 platform. So like refresh concurrency is gone. Refreshes don't necessarily impact interactive queries now. So they're kind of separated under the hoods. So there are some added benefits that can do it. So your data set size is now, or the memory size is now per data set. It's not for the all up capacity. CPU is going to be the biggest thing. So make sure that, if you're using your CPU a lot, you need to optimize for CPU as well. So Chris Webb had a blog on that. I did a video commenting on that as well. So for Gen 2, it's all about CPU. So be mindful of that. I mean, as with all things, you need to test, right? So everyone's different. I know some large enterprise customers that have been running on Gen 2 for a while now, successfully. So it's been good. But as with all things, if you're, I've seen cases where someone had a model that was a small model, a very small model, and just chewed up CPU to no end. And so it didn't matter how big that capacity was, that one little model was chewing it up. So, but if you're on Gen 1 already, you should already be seeing that. So going to Gen 2, it's, it should be comparable or better in general. But as with all things, test if you can.
We had a similar question came up. I run an internal community group at 3 Cloud Solutions where I work. And we had Christian Wade joined us 2 weeks ago, and he was talking about features of Gen 2. We were specifically talking about large model support.
Yep.
And this question came up. So what are the trade-offs? What could we possibly lose? And the answer was, there are edge cases, very, very rare edge cases where if you don't enable large model support, which is kind of the Gen 1 way, that you might get better performance with smaller models, but the 99% is that you're just going to get better performance. It's just going to work better.
All right. So Alex made a comment, and I'm going to rebuff this a little bit. So he made the comment of look, if you're maxing out your capacity CPU regularly, you may not like the throttling of Gen 2. That's a true statement. Versus just running hot, but auto scale is there. So the auto scale piece, when you're thinking about capacity planning, ignore auto scale altogether. Because if you're planning for your capacity and what you need from a capacity perspective, you should get the right SKU that matches what your workload is from a general standpoint. Auto scale is there for the emergency, right? The things that maybe you didn't plan for, or if you have that end of quarter type activity for a day or two where, look, it just doesn't make sense to have, that large capacity just for 2 days and have that overall commitment. That's what auto scale is for. And so if you're planning, you're just consistently using auto scale, that is the wrong approach. So do not do that.
It's hard to budget for it too.
Yes, it's very hard to budget for it. So just be mindful. Don't include that in your capacity planning unless you know that, look, I've got that edge case of that end of month, end of quarter, end of year processing. It's a day or two of spiked activity. We know we're going to hit it. I don't want the larger capacity forever though. So that's the auto scale piece. Okay. Sorry. Get off my soapbox on that.
That's good though.
Yeah. All right. Micah, not the Micah we know, Patrick. Different Micah.
The new Micah.
Three-part question. Ooh. I've got a data set report and paginated report shared through an app backed by Premium. I've used Adam's techniques, video, paginated URL parameters of exporting through the paginated report. Excellent. Part 2. When I run the paginated report, it works beautifully. Excellent. There's going to be a but though.
But
when regular users with reshare and build access to the app try to follow the URL, they get an error. No access deleted. Interesting. Deleted happens both with the paginated report and the paginated report visual. Though the app navigation menu, the paginated report works for all users. What am I missing? Hang on, I need to go.
What happens if you capture the URL? When you drill through, there's going to be a URL because you're passing all the parameters. Yeah. What happens if you capture that and just try to navigate?
Well,
using
that's
that
what he
address.
said though. He said so. He said opens with the paginator report and paginator report visual. Through the app navigation menu, the paginator report on its own works for all users. So it's only when they're doing the URL.
I have no idea.
So if you reshare, the URL should not change. I'd have to go. I don't know off the top of my head.
We
Honestly,
need to write this down and try to test it.
yeah, I agree.
Or just have him email us. Have him email us at
Yeah.
info@GuidingQ.
Well,
Mike, can you email this
Well,
to us? So we can test it?
so hold off on that. So Micah, if you are a visitor or producer level, send in the question and we can do it as a pre-submitted question. We can dig into that a little more. Outside of that, honestly, if you're consistently getting this problem, open up a support case to try and help explain it. I'd have to try it and debug to see what's going on there. And then, Heidi has a great point. Ooh, hello, Heidi. All the way from Australia. Is it using the app URL or the workspace URL? Because if it's the workspace URL and they only have access to the app, that URL is not going to work.
So maybe they just need to use the other.
Use the app
other
URL
address.
instead.
Hey.
That is
Whatever you're
a
thinking.
great
Heidi.
point.
They stumped 3 of us, and
No, Heidi's
my
there.
Oh, Heidi.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to test that and make
Yeah.
sure that solves the problem, but that makes sense.
She like
Yes.
dropped the mic. She like dropped
Yeah.
the mic. I'm out.
And right about the same time, Kevin was also like, is there a difference between workspace access and app access? But again, that goes back to the point. If you're hitting that workspace URL and not the app URL, those are different access lists. And so they won't necessarily have permission to both. So very, very
This
good
is
thing to
really
call
good.
out. Thank you, Heidi.
There's always an answer.
Way to go, Heidi.
That was good. I'm going with that.
She is in the future, though. She probably saw this already. She is in
Yeah.
the future.
That's true. Yeah, it's Sunday
Yes.
morning or Saturday night.
So, Mr. Trebek, I'm going to take my URLs are wrong for $600.
Wouldn't that be Mr. Jennings now?
Jennings, whatever. All right. So, Micah, try that out. Again, if you're in the visitor producer tier, feel free to pre-submit.
Oh, Heidi's been down this path.
So
she's-
all right.
she's
Heidi
solved
knows.
this problem
Heidi
before.
knows. See, this is one of those things we would have figured that out as we went in and played with it and tried to, figure out what was going on.
This is why we have the community. I mean,
Or
we've all
honestly, what
done
would have
stuff.
happened is what would have happened is we would have by default used the app URL. We're like, look, it works for us. I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Assuming that is the answer. So definitely try it out.
It makes sense, though.
Yep.
This
it
can
does
make a good
sense.
video. This can make a good video.
Yes. All right. Chris, can import option be disabled for Power BI? Analysis services connection, want live connections to be the only option. The answer to that is no.
But it's a good idea.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a great idea, Paul.
I disagree.
I've got
disagree.
customers who have done this and just because they just didn't know better.
So there's two sides to this. So I agree that a lot of customers I've heard requests for this before, being able to control what people can do and or not just like live connections, but also like direct query, but they don't want to import. But I go back to the premise of what is Power BI about in terms of self-service enablement and things of that nature. Like it starts to limit what Power BI is really about and sharing of data and easily doing that. So Will also's got a comment. It's impossible to enforce it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
I had a customer, a newbie to Power BI the other day who said, I don't want to use Power BI because writing DAX queries is hard. I said, who in the world writes DAX queries? I mean, you shouldn't have, well, I know.
outside of that, just use the AI DAX generator. It's fine. Sorry.
On to the next question.
All right.
On to the next question.
Sorry. Okay. All right, Kendall. How much of Power Automate Desktop can be used to create paginator Power Automate desktop.
To
I mean, Power BI
create-
Yeah, there's a
desktop?
Power Automate.
I don't.
There's
The
a
Power
Power
Automate
Automate
desktop?
like client.
Oh,
Yeah, there's a
okay.
client tool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can't use any of it to create a paginated report.
No.
Yeah.
You can
You use-
automate reports.
You
could-
use Report Builder to create paginated reports.
Yep.
So, yeah. Now, I do know of folks, this is going back, Paul, and I know you're aware of this too, people that would auto-generate the RDL files programmatically
Yeah.
because it's a known schema out there, and so you can build it.
and it's just XML.
It's just XML.
It's plain text.
It's not even JSON.
Yep. I wouldn't say that that's a recommended practice generally, unless you're building a whole framework and an application.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. All right, PrimChanter. I love that the chat's still going off on the whole block import. I see it. PrimChanter, what we got? In composite models, the hierarchies go missing while accessing them via Excel, but available in the Power BI report. Any workaround available to show it in Excel as well? I think that's a known limitation. I'm trying to remember.
It just seems like a bug.
No, I think there's actually a technical reason for it because of the proxy models. So I'm assuming when we say composite models here that we're talking about direct query over Power BI dataset, not like the actual composite model of like direct query and import together. And for the direct query over Power BI dataset, I think there's an issue there. Yeah, Alex says it's not supported either. Oh, but Will says
It's got fixed
he
in
thought
the
it got
last couple of
fixed.
months.
Aha.
Will says he thought it got fixed in the last couple months. So Alex is saying it's not supported. He talked to Ike about this week. Ike is one of the PMs on the team. So I don't know if he talked about it this week. Maybe that's true. So yeah. So sorry, not supported right now. And then PrimChanter did chime in. He said that's right. He's doing the direct query over Power BI data sets. So yep. Yeah. I agree, Will. Alex's comment makes it probably more up to date. Probably, if you talk to Ike and about the exact same thing, I'm going to go with that. So, sorry. Ideas.powerbi.com, although there may actually be some technical limitations there as well. All right, we are at time. We're going to grab one more question. So sorry, there were a lot of questions in the queue this time. So please come back next week as well, and we'll get more questions answered. The data bus won't be here, unfortunately, but so. All right, Michael, are you aware of any documentation indicating whether the Dataverse connection supports query folding? Dataverse. I don't. I mean,
know. Don't you have to enable that SQL endpoint?
There is a
on
SQL
your
endpoint.
Data.
Yes.
So I'm wondering, we should ask Scott Sewell.
Scott Sewell would know. He's on the CAT team.
Yeah.
He is the Dataverse
Alex
guy.
says it does.
Oh, Alex! Look, Alex is right
says it
there.
does. Yeah.
Love you guys.
I was thinking since it's a SQL endpoint, it should.
Oh, Scott's there too. Scott is in the chat. Yes, it
He
does.
said yes, it does.
All right.
There you go.
All right. All
Bam.
right.
Cat, the Power BI CAT team in the house.
Yeah, TDS.
That's the price of
That's what I
admission.
thought.
Yes.
There you go.
Look at it. Community coming to the rescue. There we go. Scott was lurking until we said Dataverse, and then we conjured Scott into the live stream chat by just issuing the utterance of Dataverse.
The week before Halloween.
Yes. That's awesome.
We need to
All
answer
right.
one more question. We should answer one more question.
All right,
one more question.
Chatmaster C's probably
That was
already
an
left
easy
because
one.
she's done with queuing. All right, Stewie.
Okay.
Stewie, we have this center of excellence, and we want analyze performance with the current data sets present in the workspace for our company. Is there a good way to trace the queries sent to analyze them? Yes.
Yeah. It's a couple of ways, right?
Paul, what are your thoughts?
I mean, you have the query log. You know, there you've got a whole set of APIs where you can trace this using the query log. I've done this.
If it's
been a
premium.
while. If it's premium. Yeah.
He
And
has
Stewie said it's premium
He has
P2.
premium.
Okay.
XMLA endpoint, profiler trace, or
Yeah.
log analytics integration.
Yep. Yeah.
You can get all the AS trace information with log analytics.
Yep.
There you go.
So it just remember that Power BI data sets are in fact analysis services tabular databases. So anything that you can do for the most part with analysis services, you can do in Power BI.
Yeah, the thing to understand. Oh, and Matthew, thank you for upgrading your membership. Much appreciated. The thing to understand with the log analytics piece, though, is that it's a per workspace item. So you're not just going to get all data sets by default. So you have to intentionally go after them. So that could be a sort of a rub in terms of getting that information. But that's how you have to do it today. The other thing also is you're limited to one log analytics workspace to a Power BI workspace. And so if you want to go after like 15 Power BI workspaces, you also have to have 15 log analytic workspaces to go along with it. So just be aware of that. So, all right.
All right.
I think that's going to do it for us.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate the invitation again.
Yes.
This is pretty awesome.
Yes, we are happy that you were here, and
Thanks, Dan.
we loved having you on the stream today, Paul. I'm glad everything worked out. So we didn't fully test all the audio stuff, so apologies for that. But we made it. We did it, and I'm happy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Patrick,
no, it's awesome.
Patrick, Paul mentioned to me you have to talk to him about him coming to Atlanta.
So we're on our way to
Okay.
Atlanta. Our next stop.
All right.
Yeah, our next
Yes.
stop is Red Bay,
You
Alabama.
need
to
to
have the
talk
bus
about
service
logistics.
to
I know you're not like an Uber planner, Patrick, but we gotta communicate.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
All right, everyone. Have a great weekend. Thank you for being here, and we will be back next Saturday. Patrick and I are going to figure out our costumes for Halloween. We're going to figure it out. All right. We'll
Thanks,
see you,
all.
everyone.
It's a real treat. Trick or treat.